The wind carried dust across the silent battlefield. Ash and broken stone covered the ground, and the faint smell of burnt metal hung heavy in the air. The war between humans and alien factions had left the land ruined. Broken machines and shattered weapons lay scattered, and the cries of the wounded had faded into silence. Among the ruins, a single figure moved carefully. His name was Ryan, a human medic sent to search for survivors. His uniform was torn, and the strap of his medical bag hung loose on his shoulder. He had already treated a few human soldiers earlier that day, but most of them had either been taken back to camp or had not survived. Now he moved deeper into the battlefield, stepping over debris and keeping his eyes open for any sign of life. Ryan was tired, but his duty pushed him forward. He could not leave until he was sure no one was left behind. He paused often to listen. Sometimes the wind made strange sounds when it passed through broken walls, and sometimes the remains of machines sparked faintly. Every noise made him cautious, but he pressed on. Then faintly he heard something. A sound too soft to be the wind, too weak to be a soldier calling out. It was almost like a whisper, strained and broken. Ryan froze and tilted his head. The sound came again, a voice, but he could not understand the words. He followed it carefully. His boots crunched against the stone and his heart beat faster. The sound came from a collapsed bunker, half buried under fallen concrete. The entrance was blocked by rubble, but a small gap was still open, just enough for someone to crawl through. Ryan crouched down and peered inside. Darkness filled the bunker, but deep within he saw movement. A shape lay against the far wall, shifting slightly. He could hear the labored breathing now, a shallow rise and fall. At first he thought it might be another human soldier. But as his eyes adjusted, he saw pale skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Two red eyes flickered open, catching the faint glow from outside. His breath caught in his throat. The stories were true. Before him lay one of the alien vampires. Humans had only seen them in combat, striking with terrifying speed, draining the life from their enemies. Entire squads had been wiped out by just one of them. Soldiers spoke of them in hushed tones, describing them as shadows with fangs and burning eyes. They were not supposed to be found wounded. They were not supposed to be helpless. Yet here one was, lying broken and bleeding before him. Ryan gripped the strap of his bag tightly. His training told him to leave. His duty to his people told him to report back. But another part of him, the part that had carried him across battlefields to save lives no matter the uniform, whispered differently. He was a medic. He could not ignore a life in need. He took a slow breath, then crawled through the gap. The smell of blood grew stronger inside, mixed with dust and the sharp scent of metal. He moved closer, careful not to startle the figure. The alien woman lay against the wall, her body covered in wounds. Her armor was broken, dark with stains, and one of her arms hung limply at her side. Her chest rose and fell with effort. When she saw Ryan, her red eyes narrowed, but she did not move. For a long moment they stared at each other. Ryan's hand hovered near his belt where a small knife was strapped, but he did not reach for it. Instead, he slowly set down his bag. "I am here to help," he said softly, unsure if she understood his words. The alien woman's lips parted slightly. Her voice was faint, rough from weakness. "Human," Ryan swallowed. The way she said the word was not filled with hate, only exhaustion. He opened his bag and took out bandages and a small vial of antiseptic. His hands moved with practiced care. He had treated countless wounds before, but never those of an enemy, never one of her kind. Still, he worked. He cut away parts of the broken armor, cleaned the wounds, and wrapped them tightly. The alien woman flinched when the medicine touched her skin, but she did not push him away. Her red eyes followed every movement of his hands. Minutes stretched into an hour. Ryan worked silently, and the only sound was the faint rasp of her breathing. When he finished binding her wounds, he leaned back slightly, breathing hard from the effort. "You will live," he said quietly, though he was not sure why he spoke. The alien woman's gaze softened just a little. For the first time, Ryan noticed details he had missed before. Her pale skin had a strange glow, almost like moonlight. Her hair, dark and tangled, framed her face in sharp lines. She looked both fragile and dangerous, like a blade hidden in silk. Slowly, she raised her hand. Ryan tensed, ready to move, but she only brushed her fingers lightly against his wrist. Her touch was cold yet not unpleasant. Her lips moved, and though her voice was faint, he heard the words. "You saved me." Ryan nodded once. He did not know what else to say. Her hand gripped his wrist more firmly, and before he could react, she leaned forward. Her fangs glinted in the dim light. Ryan froze as he felt a sharp sting on his skin. She bit into his arm, not deeply, just enough for a drop of blood. His breath caught, and his body stiffened. He expected pain, weakness, maybe even death. But instead, warmth spread through his arm, then through his chest. It was not draining, but filling, like a strange fire flowing inside him. The alien woman released him slowly. Her lips lingered near his skin as she whispered, her voice carrying a weight he could not understand. "You are mine now, human." Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. He pulled his arm back slightly, staring at the faint mark left on his skin. "What did you do?" he asked, his voice low. The alien woman leaned back against the wall, her strength slowly returning. Her red eyes burned brighter now, but not with hunger. She looked at him with something else, something he could not name. "You healed me," she said. "Now you carry my mark." Ryan sat in silence, his thoughts racing. He had come to save a life. He had expected danger, but not this. The battlefield around them was silent, but inside the bunker something new had begun. The medic and the alien vampire stared at each other, two enemies bound by a single act. The war outside still raged, but in that small broken place a strange bond had been formed. Ryan did not know what it meant. He did not know what would come next. But he knew one thing. His life had just changed forever. The bunker was quiet, except for the faint hum of distant machinery from the battlefield beyond. Ryan sat on a piece of broken concrete, his arm still stinging where the alien vampire, Nira, had bitten him. He flexed his fingers slowly, watching the faint mark on his skin. It was strange. He had expected pain, weakness, maybe sickness, but instead, there was a curious warmth spreading through him. Nira leaned back against the wall, her dark hair falling in disarray around her shoulders. Her red eyes glowed softly, reflecting the faint light that came through the cracks above. She studied Ryan, tilting her head slightly, as if deciding whether he could be trusted. Ryan tried to make sense of what had just happened. He had healed her, and now she had bitten him. Her words echoed in his mind. "You are mine now, human." He did not understand what that meant. Was it a threat or a warning or something else entirely? Why did you bite me?" he asked carefully, trying to keep his voice steady. Nira's gaze did not waver. "To mark you. To connect you to me," she said softly. "You saved my life. Now we share something." Ryan frowned. He did not know if he should be afraid or curious. He had seen many strange things during the war, but bonding with an alien vampire was beyond anything he could have imagined. Still, the warmth in his chest made him feel stronger, sharper, and strangely alert. "Connected?" he repeated. "What does that mean?" Nira's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. "It means you carry a part of me. Your body will respond differently now. You may feel stronger, faster, aware in ways you were not before." Ryan looked at his arm again. The mark left by her bite was faint, like a small scar, but it pulsed slightly with energy. He flexed his fingers and felt a surge of strength he had never known. Even in the middle of a battlefield, exhausted and bruised, he felt a sudden clarity. Nira watched him carefully. "Do not fear it," she said. "It will not harm you. It only binds us. I am alive because of you. You carry my mark, and I protect you now as you protected me." Ryan swallowed. The idea of being bound to a creature his people feared and hunted made his stomach tighten. But at the same time, he could not deny the strange trust he felt toward her. She had been helpless, and he had helped her. Now she was strong, but she had not attacked him. Instead, she had shared something dangerous and unfamiliar, yet not harmful. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "Do you need me to do something?" Nira shook her head. "No, for now, rest. You have been through much. Soon we will move. Soon others will come searching for me, and because you carry my mark, they may come for you as well." Ryan's brow furrowed. "Others, you mean your enemies?" Nira's expression hardened. "Yes, my kind has enemies. Those who wish me dead will not stop. Now that you are marked, you are tied to me. You must be careful. They will recognize the connection." Ryan ran a hand through his hair, feeling overwhelmed. He had only intended to save a life. He had not thought about enemies, markings, or bonds. He had never imagined that saving someone could change his entire existence. "Do you trust me?" Nira asked suddenly, her eyes searching his. Ryan hesitated. Trust was not something given lightly, especially in a war-torn world filled with suspicion and betrayal. But when he looked at her, he saw not the monster his people had warned him about, but a being struggling to survive, injured and vulnerable. He could not ignore that. "I do," he said finally. "I trust you because I saw who you are when you were helpless. That is enough for now." Nira nodded slowly as if satisfied. She reached out a hand and Ryan placed his on hers. The moment their skin touched, a subtle warmth spread from her fingers into his body. It was not frightening, but it was intense, as if a hidden power had awakened within him. "You will notice changes soon," she said softly. "Strength, awareness, speed. Do not be afraid. These are gifts from the bond." Ryan looked at her curiously. "Gifts? You mean this? Connection makes me stronger?" Nira's eyes glimmered. "Yes, you will see. But gifts come with responsibility. You are now tied to my life and I to yours. We must protect each other." Ryan nodded slowly, trying to absorb the weight of her words. He had been trained to save lives, to protect those in danger, but this was something different. This was a bond that crossed species, crossing lines that humans had always feared. "Rest now," Nira said again, her tone gentle. "Soon we will leave this place. The battlefield is not safe for either of us." Ryan leaned back against the wall, exhaustion pulling at him. The adrenaline from the day was fading, replaced by the steady awareness of the bond she had placed on him. He felt the warmth in his chest spread through his body, a reminder of her presence and the strange connection that tied them together. Hours passed in silence. Ryan kept watch as best he could, but sleep pulled at his eyelids. Even in rest, the bond was present, a quiet hum beneath his skin. He dreamed of running across strange alien landscapes, of moving faster than any human could, of seeing shapes and forms before they appeared. When he awoke, the feeling remained, a constant reminder of the mark and the alien who had placed it there. Nira stirred beside him. Her wounds had begun to close slightly, her strength returning more with every passing moment. She moved with the grace of her kind, silent and precise. She watched him carefully, her red eyes never leaving his face. "Are you ready to move?" she asked. Ryan stood slowly, testing his body. He felt stronger, more alert. Movements that would have been difficult earlier now felt effortless. He flexed his fingers and his muscles responded immediately. The bond was real. It was not just a mark. It was a gift that came with risk. "I think so," he said quietly. "Where do we go?" Nira paused, considering. "We must leave the battlefield. There are enemies searching for me. We will need to travel carefully, avoid patrols, and find a place where we can recover. Then we can decide the next step." Ryan nodded. "I understand. Lead the way." They moved carefully through the broken landscape, stepping over debris and avoiding areas where enemy drones might detect them. Nira's speed and awareness were astonishing. She could see hidden threats, sense dangers before they arrived, and react instantly. Ryan followed as best he could, relying on his own training and the heightened senses the bond had given him. As they moved, Ryan began to notice small changes in himself. His vision seemed sharper, able to distinguish subtle movements in the shadows. His reflexes were quicker, his muscles responding to his thoughts almost instantly. The world felt alive in a way it had never before. Nira glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "Do not be afraid of the changes," she said. "They are part of the bond. You will need them if we are to survive." Ryan nodded. "I will learn," he said. "I want to understand." They walked in silence for a while, the quiet only broken by the distant hum of machinery and the crunch of debris underfoot. Despite the danger, Ryan felt a strange sense of calm. He was not alone. He had saved a life, and in return he had gained something extraordinary, a bond with a being far beyond human understanding. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the battlefield, Nira stopped and looked back at him. "Rest here for a moment," she said. "The night will bring dangers we must face together." Ryan sat down on a pile of rubble, taking a deep breath. He looked at the alien beside him, her red eyes reflecting the dying light. He could not fully understand her yet, but he felt a connection deeper than anything he had experienced. The bite, the bond, the mark, they were all part of a new reality. A reality that would challenge him, change him, and perhaps even save him in ways he could not yet imagine. And as he watched Nira prepare for the journey ahead, Ryan realized that life had become far more complicated and far more extraordinary than he had ever expected. Night had fallen over the battlefield and the ruined land was cloaked in shadows. The wind carried the faint scent of smoke and ash, mixing with the metallic tang of broken machinery. Ryan and Nira moved cautiously, their steps quiet against the rubble-strewn ground. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified by the stillness of the night. Ryan's heart raced as he tried to keep up with Nira. Her movements were fluid and fast, almost silent as she glided over debris, leaping over obstacles with ease. He could feel the bond between them, a quiet energy flowing through his body, sharpening his senses. He noticed sounds he had never heard before. The faint skitter of small creatures in the wreckage, the hum of distant drones, and even the subtle vibrations of the ground beneath their feet. "Stay close," Nira whispered, her red eyes scanning the darkness ahead. "There are patrols nearby. They will sense me, and now they may sense you too." Ryan nodded, feeling both fear and excitement, fear of the unknown, and excitement at the strange new abilities coursing through him. He flexed his fingers, testing the strength in his arms and legs. The bond made him faster, more aware, but he knew it was not just about strength. It was about survival, trust, and understanding the alien beside him. The first signs of danger appeared as a faint glow in the distance. Human soldiers had set up automated drones to patrol the battlefield, scanning for any surviving enemies. Nira crouched behind a broken wall, her eyes following the movement of the drones. "They see movement," she said softly. "We cannot pass openly. We must use the shadows." Ryan crouched beside her, trying to match her movements. He had always been skilled in field navigation, but tonight he relied on instincts heightened by the bond. Every step had to be careful, measured, and precise. As they moved, Nira spoke in a low voice. "You must understand. My kind is hunted for what we are. Some humans fear us, some want us destroyed. Now because of the bond, they may see you as part of me. You must be ready to defend yourself." Ryan swallowed, feeling the weight of her words. He had never thought that saving a life could place him in such danger. But he also knew he could not abandon her. Not now. They slipped past the first drone, moving in the deep shadows of fallen walls and broken structures. The drone scanned back and forth, its red light cutting through the darkness, but it passed them by. Ryan felt a thrill of relief, but it was brief. There would be more. Suddenly, a sound behind them made him freeze. Small creatures, likely scavengers, scuttled over the debris. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were quick. Nira's gaze followed them calmly. "They are harmless," she said. "Do not be distracted. Focus on the threats that matter." Ryan nodded. His mind tried to take in everything, the bond, the environment, the potential danger, while still moving carefully. He could feel the energy from Nira, subtle and strong, guiding him. He had never felt such awareness before. Hours passed as they navigated the battlefield. The night was long and tense, each step calculated. Ryan noticed how Nira seemed to sense everything around them. She could hear movements too faint for him, see shapes he could barely distinguish, and anticipate danger before it arrived. The bond allowed him to feel a fraction of this awareness, enough to keep up and avoid mistakes. Then they heard it. A low hum, followed by the clank of mechanical limbs on the ruined ground. Enemy drones had spotted them. The red lights of scanning sensors cut through the darkness, moving closer with precision. Nira tensed, her eyes narrowing. "We cannot outrun them. We must fight." Ryan's pulse quickened. He had never fought alongside an alien vampire before, but the bond made him ready. His body moved instinctively, dodging, crouching, and preparing to act. He could feel strength and speed that he had never experienced before, a sharpness of mind and body that seemed to anticipate the drone's movements. The drones attacked first, moving with quick mechanical precision. Nira leapt into action, her movements a blur. She struck with incredible speed, tearing apart the drones before they could fully react. Sparks flew as metal collided with metal, and Ryan followed her lead, using his enhanced reflexes to strike and dodge. Together they became a seamless team. For the first time, Ryan understood the bond not just as a mark, but as a connection that allowed them to act almost instinctively together. He could feel Nira's presence guiding him, and he knew when to move, when to strike, and when to avoid danger. After the battle, they paused to catch their breath. The drones were destroyed, but the sound of other machines moving in the distance reminded them that the hunt was far from over. "Good," Nira said quietly, examining the battlefield. "You are adapting quickly. The bond is strengthening. Soon you will move as if you are part of me, and I will be part of you." Ryan nodded, though he did not fully understand. "I feel it," he said. "I feel different. Stronger, faster, aware of things I never noticed before. Nira's gaze softened. It is not just strength. It is awareness, trust. We are connected now. Remember that. Your life and mine are tied together. They continued moving, careful to stay hidden from other patrols. Nira led Ryan through underground tunnels and broken corridors, always aware of their surroundings, always alert. The bond allowed him to sense things he could not explain: the presence of enemies, the changes in the terrain, even faint shifts in the wind that hinted at danger ahead. During their journey, Ryan realized that the world he had known was changing. The battlefield was not just a place of death and destruction, but a place where humans and aliens could meet in unexpected ways. Nira was no longer a monster to fear. She was a being of strength, intelligence, and even loyalty, and he was now bound to her in a way that made him part of something greater. Hours later, they reached a safe spot among the ruins. Nira had found a partially intact building, walls still standing enough to provide cover. She gestured for Ryan to sit. "You must rest," she said. "The hunt will continue. The enemy will not stop. But here, for now, you are safe." Ryan sank to the ground, exhausted. The bond still pulsed within him, a quiet energy that made him feel alive despite his fatigue. He looked at Nira, who had already begun checking the perimeter, alert and ready. "Why are they hunting you so relentlessly?" he asked quietly. Nira paused, her eyes distant. "Because of what I am. Some see my kind as threats, as creatures that must be destroyed. They do not understand us. They only fear us." Ryan nodded slowly. He understood fear, but he also understood bravery. Nira had fought to survive, and now he was part of that fight. The battlefield had brought them together, and the bond had made them stronger than either could be alone. Night deepened, and the wind carried the distant sounds of battle. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the bond hum beneath his skin. He knew the danger was far from over. Enemies would come, and the world outside the ruins would challenge them both. But he also knew something else. He was no longer alone. The hunt had begun, but he was ready. Nira had marked him, shared her strength, and now he shared hers. Together they would face whatever came, bound by a strange connection that neither fully understood, yet both relied upon. In the quiet moments, Ryan realized that he had become part of a story far larger than himself. A story of survival, trust, and the unexpected bonds that could form even in the darkest of times. And as he prepared to move again, guided by Nira's keen senses and the strange strength within him, he knew one thing for certain: the hunt had only just begun. Dawn broke over the battlefield, casting soft golden light over the ruins. The destruction from the night before still lingered in the air, the smell of smoke, ash, and broken machines. Ryan and Nira had spent the night hidden, moving carefully and staying out of sight of enemy patrols. Now, with the light returning, new dangers were visible, and the world seemed harsher under the rising sun. Ryan stretched, feeling the lingering effects of exhaustion, but also the heightened strength from the bond. Every muscle in his body felt alive, responsive, alert. He could feel the faint pulse of Nira beside him, steady and strong. The bond was no longer subtle. It was part of him, part of her, a connection that could not be broken. Nira moved with her usual precision, scanning the horizon for signs of danger. Her red eyes were sharp, focused, and unwavering. Despite the warmth of the morning, she remained cautious, knowing that enemies could appear at any moment. "We need to reach the human outpost," Nira said quietly. "It is a place where we can rest, resupply, and plan. But humans may not understand me." "You must be ready," Ryan frowned. "You mean they might see you as a threat?" Nira nodded. "Yes, some humans fear my kind. They see only the legends, the stories of destruction. They may not trust you either because of the bond." Ryan's jaw tightened. He had already accepted the bond, accepted her presence and strength, but he knew that stepping into a human outpost with Nira could be dangerous. Soldiers would hesitate. They might even attack. "I understand," he said firmly. "I will stand by you." Nira's gaze softened, and for a moment she allowed herself a small smile. "Good, your choice matters. Loyalty is rare among humans. It will be tested soon." The journey to the outpost was tense. They moved carefully through broken streets and tunnels, avoiding drones and patrols. Every shadow, every movement of the wind could signal danger. Ryan relied on the bond to heighten his awareness, allowing him to detect threats before they became obvious. Nira moved beside him, silent and precise, a predator in the shadows, but one who protected him with every step. Hours later, they reached the perimeter of the human outpost. Soldiers were stationed at watchtowers, their eyes scanning for signs of life or danger. The walls were fortified and automated weapons were positioned at strategic points. It was a safe place, but Rian knew that safety came with suspicion. Nira signaled him to stop behind a pile of rubble. "We cannot approach openly," she whispered. "I will reveal myself, but you must be ready to act." "They may not understand the bond." Ryan nodded. His pulse quickened. The soldiers would see her red eyes, her pale skin, her fangs. They might not see the gratitude in her gaze or the bond they shared. They might only see a threat. Nira stepped into the open slowly, her movements deliberate. The sunlight highlighted her form, showing both her strength and the faint scars from the battlefield. The soldiers reacted immediately, raising their weapons and shouting warnings. "Human, step back," one of them called, pointing directly at Ryan. "Do not come closer. That creature is dangerous." Ryan raised his hands, not in surrender, but in calm determination. "She is with me," he said firmly. "She is not your enemy. I will explain. Lower your weapons." The soldiers hesitated. Some looked ready to fire, while others seemed unsure. They had been trained to fear beings like Nira, and the bond between her and a human was something they could not easily understand. "Ryan, move closer to me," Nira whispered. "Show them the bond. Let them see that we are connected." Ryan stepped forward, placing his hand near hers but not touching. The faint mark from her bite glimmered slightly in the sunlight. The soldiers' eyes widened. Some murmured among themselves. Others lowered their weapons just slightly, unsure of what they saw. "This human healed me," Nira said, her voice calm but powerful. "Now he carries my mark. We are bound. We will not harm you, but we will defend each other." The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a commander named Lorne, stepped forward. He was tall, with a stern face and years of battlefield experience. "Explain this," he demanded. "Why is a human bound to an alien vampire? How do we know he is not compromised?" Ryan took a deep breath. "I saved her life. She marked me, yes, but it does not harm me. She is not my enemy. I trust her, and now we share a bond. That bond can help us survive, help us fight, and protect all of us from the real threats." Lorne's eyes narrowed. "Trust is not enough. This is war. Anything can be a threat." Nira stepped closer, her presence calm but commanding. "Commander, I do not seek conflict with your people. I have fought only to survive. The bond with Rian strengthens us both. Together we can face those who wish to destroy you and me. But if you attack, we will defend ourselves. I do not want this." "You must choose." Rian felt the tension building. He knew the soldiers might not understand, might not accept his choice. But he also knew he could not abandon Nira. She had risked everything for him, and now he had to stand by her. "I choose to stand with her," he said loudly, meeting Lorne's gaze. "I will not leave her. She saved me, and now we are connected. I will protect her, and she will protect me. That is my choice." The soldiers looked shocked. Some were angry, others confused. But they could see the determination in Rian's eyes and the calm strength in Nira's posture. The bond was visible, subtle but undeniable. Lorne stepped closer, examining both of them carefully. "Very well," he said finally. "We will not interfere, but understand this, any threat from you, and we will act." "You are on our trust, human." Ryan nodded firmly. "Understood. We seek only safety and cooperation. No conflict unless necessary." Nira's red eyes softened slightly. "Good. That is all we ask." With the tension eased, the three of them moved inside the outpost. Soldiers kept a careful watch, but the immediate danger had passed. Rian and Nira found a small, secure room to rest. Nira settled against the wall, her body recovering from the previous night's battle. Ryan watched her carefully, still amazed by her speed, her strength, and the calm control she showed even in tense situations. "You made the right choice," Nira said quietly. "Many humans would have abandoned me. Many would have feared the bond. But you chose loyalty. That is rare." Ryan sat down opposite her, flexing his fingers and feeling the lingering strength from the bond.
"I could not have done otherwise."
"You saved my life. Now it is my turn to stand by you." Nira's eyes glimmered. "The bond grows stronger with trust. You have already felt some changes. There is more to come, and you will need every part of your strength and awareness." Ryan leaned back, letting the tension leave his body for a moment. He looked around the outpost, noticing the soldiers who still watched them warily. The human world was cautious, fearful, and sometimes cruel. But here he had made a choice that was his alone. He had chosen loyalty over fear. Hours passed and the bond continued to pulse between them, quiet but steady. Ryan began to notice other changes. His reflexes, awareness, and energy felt sharper than ever. He could sense the subtle shifts in the room, the presence of people outside, and even the faintest movements in the walls. The bond was more than a mark. It was a connection, a shared strength that gave him abilities beyond what he had known. Nira watched him carefully, her gaze thoughtful. "You are adapting well. Soon, you will understand more of what it means to be connected. It is not just survival. It is trust, understanding, and partnership. You will see." Ryan nodded, feeling a strange sense of calm. He had faced fear, danger, and the unknown. Now he had made a choice that would define him. He had chosen loyalty over safety, trust over doubt, and connection over fear. As the sun climbed higher, casting light over the outpost, Ryan and Nira prepared for the challenges ahead. Enemies would come, questions would arise, and dangers would test them. But together, bound by a mark, strengthened by trust, they were ready. And in that moment, Ryan realized something important. The bond was more than a survival tool. It was a symbol of courage, a bridge between worlds, and a choice that could change not only their lives, but the lives of everyone around them. For Ryan, the choice was clear. Loyalty had been tested, and he had chosen wisely. The sun was high in the sky when the alarm sounded across the outpost. Ryan and Nira had been resting only briefly, but the bond between them hummed quietly, alerting them to danger before the sound of the sirens reached the human soldiers. "Stay close," Nira whispered, her red eyes scanning the horizon. Her body was fully healed now, her movements precise and confident. The bond pulsed through Ryan, giving him a sense of clarity and speed that made him feel ready. Ryan followed her lead. The connection between them was more than physical. It was instinct. He could anticipate her movements, feel her intent, and respond almost as if they shared a single mind. The thought was strange but comforting. Through the perimeter gates, a wave of enemy machines appeared, moving with mechanical precision. They were faster, stronger, and more numerous than anything Ryan had seen on the battlefield before. Soldiers shouted orders, firing at the advancing threat, but the drones pressed forward relentlessly. Nira moved first. She leapt into action with incredible speed, striking down machines with swift precision. Sparks flew, metal bent, and pieces of the enemy drones scattered across the ground. Ryan followed, moving faster than he had thought possible. He dodged debris, struck weak points, and protected the humans around him. Every movement was guided by the bond, a silent communication that allowed them to act as one. The soldiers watched in awe. Many had feared Nira, had trained to see her kind as a threat, but now they saw her saving them, working alongside a human in perfect coordination. Ryan realized they were witnessing something extraordinary: trust, cooperation, and strength that transcended fear. As the battle raged, Ryan felt the bond deepen. He could sense Nira's intent before she acted, feel her awareness of approaching threats, and even anticipate the movements of the enemy drones. His reflexes were heightened, his mind sharper, and his courage stronger. He was no longer just a human medic. He was a partner in the fight, bound to a being of immense power and intelligence. One of the larger drones approached the soldiers' barricade, its metal arms swinging like hammers. Ryan saw it first, but before he could react, Nira was already in motion. She leaped high, striking the drone with incredible force, sending it crashing into the ground. Ryan moved in immediately, ensuring that no human was hurt by the debris. The soldiers hesitated, then cheered, realizing that these two, human and alien, were working together to protect them. Ryan's mind raced with thoughts. He had always believed in helping others and saving lives whenever possible. But this was more than that. This was proof that trust could bridge worlds, that courage could overcome fear, and that bonds formed in moments of need could change outcomes far beyond what anyone expected. After the last drone was destroyed, Nira stood among the soldiers, her red eyes still glowing but calm. She looked at Ryan, and he could see the faintest smile on her face. "You did well," she said softly, her voice carrying more than words could convey. "You have learned quickly, and the bond has strengthened. Together we are stronger than the enemy alone." Ryan nodded, still catching his breath. "I couldn't have done it without you. You saved us all, not just me." Nira shook her head slightly. "No, you saved me first. That was the beginning. The rest followed because we trusted each other. That is why we are stronger now. The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons, their fear replaced by respect. Commander Lorne approached, his stern face softened slightly by relief. "Ryan," he said, looking at both of them, "I do not understand all of this, but I see what you have done. You and Nira saved this outpost today. That is enough. We will not interfere with your bond, but understand that the world is watching. There will be questions and there will be challenges." Ryan nodded. "I understand, Commander. We do not seek conflict with humans or aliens. We fight only when necessary, and together we protect those in danger." Lorne studied them both for a moment longer, then turned to the soldiers. "Prepare for recovery and repair. The enemy will not stop, but today we survived because of courage and teamwork. Remember that." As the soldiers moved to secure the outpost, Ryan and Nira stepped aside. They were alone for a moment, yet the bond between them hummed with strength and understanding. "Rian," Nira said quietly, "the bond is more than survival. It is trust, connection, and choice. Today you chose loyalty, and that has made all the difference. You will see more changes, but they are part of what we share now." Ryan touched the faint mark on his arm, still glowing slightly. "I understand. I have never felt anything like this. It is strange, powerful, comforting." Nira's gaze softened. "It is not just power. It is responsibility. You must be ready for the challenges ahead. Together, we can protect more than just ourselves. We can protect others. That is what the bond truly means." Ryan felt a surge of determination. The bond was no longer a curiosity. It was a promise. A promise to protect, to survive, and to stand for something greater than fear or hatred. Hours passed as the outpost was repaired and reinforced. Soldiers moved cautiously but efficiently, guided by the examples they had witnessed. Rian and Nira remained alert, knowing that the world outside would continue to challenge them. But they also knew that together, they were stronger than any challenge they would face. As evening approached, Rian and Nira stood on a small hill overlooking the outpost. The sun set, casting long shadows and painting the sky in shades of orange and red. The battlefield stretched before them, scarred but alive. "We have survived this day," Ryan said quietly, "but there will be more challenges. We must be ready." Nira nodded, her red eyes reflecting the dying light. "Yes, and we will face them together. The bond is not just for survival. It is for life, for trust, and for the future we can shape." Ryan looked at her, understanding finally what the bond truly meant. It was not just a mark, a power, or a connection. It was proof that courage, trust, and loyalty could bridge worlds, overcome fear, and create strength beyond imagination. "Then we face it together," he said firmly. Nira's smile widened slightly. "Together," she agreed. As night fell, they returned to the outpost, ready to defend, protect, and survive. The soldiers no longer saw Nira as a monster, and Rian no longer feared the unknown. Together, they were a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of trust and the strength that could arise when worlds, human and alien, chose to work together. And in that quiet moment, Ryan realized something he had never fully understood before. Humanity was not just in flesh or blood. It was in courage, loyalty, and the willingness to trust beyond fear. By standing with Nira, he had shown what humans could truly be. The bond pulsed gently, a reminder of the journey they had taken and the path that lay ahead. They had faced fear, danger, and the unknown. They had made choices, tested trust, and found strength in connection. And now, the world beyond the outpost would see the results. The humans and aliens who once feared each other could learn that bonds, courage, and loyalty could change everything, and Rian and Nira, human and alien bound together by trust and choice, would lead the way. For the first time, Rian felt a sense of certainty and purpose. The battlefield, the enemies, the dangers, all of it mattered less than the bond he shared with Nira and the life they could build together. They were stronger, faster, and wiser than before. They were a human and an alien vampire connected by choice, trust, and courage. And together, they would face the future, not as hunter and hunted, not as enemy and ally, but as partners bound by something greater than themselves. The sun disappeared completely, leaving the world bathed in the silver light of the moon. Stars appeared in the sky, twinkling over the battlefield. Ryan and Nira stood together, aware of the bond, ready for whatever came next. In the silence of the night, they understood that their story was no longer just about survival. It was about hope, trust, and the strength of humanity in its truest form. And as they looked out over the ruins, the outpost safe behind them, they knew one thing with absolute certainty. Together they could face anything.